The Boy Who Found Courage, a heartwarming American tale. In the heart of America, nestled between rolling hills and sprawling cornfields, lay the small town of Harmony Creek. It was the kind of place where everyone knew your name, your favorite pie, and probably your grandfather's too. And in this town lived a boy named Leo, a 10-year-old with a kind heart and a shadow that seemed to follow him everywhere. The shadow wasn't made of darkness, but of fear. Leo was afraid of just about everything. Thunderstorms, the deep end of the swimming hole, speaking up in class, and most of all the old, abandoned grist mill at the edge of town, a place the local kids whispered was haunted. Leo's world was small, bordered by the things he dared not do. His best friend, a spirited girl named Maya, was his polar opposite. She climbed the highest trees, swam the fastest currents, and wasn't afraid of anything, or so it seemed. "Come on, Leo," she'd often say, her eyes sparkling with adventure. "The world is bigger than your backyard." But Leo would just shake his head, his sneakers rooted to the familiar safe ground. One crisp autumn afternoon, as a golden sun began to dip below the horizon, disaster struck. Maya's beloved kitten, a mischievous fluffball named Patches, had gone missing. They searched everywhere, under porches, in barns, and through the town square. Just as they were about to give up, old Mr. Gable, the town's kindly postman, stopped his truck. "Saw that little rascal heading towards the old mill," he said, pointing a weathered finger down the dusty road. Leo's heart sank. The mill, the one place in all of Harmony Creek he had sworn he would never go. The structure loomed in the distance, its broken windows like vacant eyes and its silent water wheel a monument to forgotten times. Maya's face was pale, her usual bravery replaced by a visible worry. "Patches is scared of the dark," she whispered, her voice trembling for the first time Leo could remember. Looking at his friend, Leo saw not the fearless adventurer, but a girl who was just as scared as he was. And in that moment, something shifted inside him. His fear for himself was immense, but his fear for his friend, and for her tiny kitten, was suddenly bigger. He took a deep breath, the cool evening air filling his lungs. "We'll go together," he said, his voice a little shaky but firm. "We'll find him." Maya looked at him, surprised, then a small grateful smile touched her lips. "Okay, Leo, together." And so, side by side, the two friends began their walk toward the setting sun and the looming shadow of the old grist mill. The journey felt like miles. Every rustle in the tall grass sounded like a monster, every hoot of a distant owl a ghostly warning. As they reached the mill, the creaking of the old wooden door was the loudest sound Leo had ever heard. He wanted to turn back, to run all the way home and hide under his covers. He could feel his own shadow of fear clinging to him, heavier than ever. But then he glanced at Maya, who was holding her flashlight with a white-knuckle grip, and he remembered why he was there. "It's okay," he said, surprising himself as much as her. "It's just an old building." He pushed the door open a little wider. "Hello, Patches?" His voice echoed in a cavernous space, filled with a maze of silent, dust-covered machinery. They stepped inside, their flashlight beams cutting through the gloom. Cobwebs hung like tattered curtains, and the air was thick with the smell of old wood and damp earth. They called for Patches, their voices bouncing off the stone walls. They checked behind giant deers and under rickety staircases. With every step, Leo's fear began to feel a little different. It was still there, a knot in his stomach, but it was no longer in charge. He was walking through it, moving forward despite it. He was navigating the very place he dreaded, and he was doing it for someone else. Suddenly they heard a faint, tiny meow. It was coming from above. They aimed their flashlights upward, toward a high ledge where a collection of old grain sacks was piled. And there, peeking out from behind a sack, were two wide, scared green eyes. It was Patches, trapped and too frightened to come down. The only way to reach him was to climb a rickety-looking wooden ladder that leaned against the wall. It looked ancient and unstable. "I can't," Maya breathed, her fear of heights a secret she'd never told Leo, showing on her face. I can't climb that." Leo looked at the ladder. He looked at Patches mewing pitifully. He looked at his best friend who needed him. This was it. The final boss of his fear. The ladder was tall. The shadows were deep. But the kidder was scared, and his friend was counting on him. He remembered his dad once telling him, "Courage isn't about not being afraid, son. It's about being afraid and doing the right thing anyway." Taking another deep breath, Leo put his hand on the first rung. "I'll do it," he said. He didn't look down. He didn't think about the height or the darkness. He just focused on one rung at a time. Left foot, right hand. Right foot, left hand. He could hear Maya's encouraging whispers from below. "You've got this, Leo. You're almost there." His heart pounded against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of terror and determination. When he finally reached the top, his hands shaking, he scooped up the trembling kitten. Patches immediately started purring, nuzzling into the warmth of Leo's jacket. The climb down was even scarier, but Leo held on tight, his focus absolute. When his feet touched the solid ground, Maya threw her arms around him in a tight hug. "You did it, Leo. You were so brave." She took Patches, who was purring like a tiny motor, walking out of the old mill. The world looked different. The moon was high in the sky, illuminating a path that was no longer frightening. The night sounds were just that, the sounds of the night, not monsters. Leo looked back at the mill. It was still just an old, broken-down building. The real ghosts had been the ones inside his own head. From that day on, Leo was different. He still felt fear, sometimes everyone does. But he knew it didn't have to control him. He had walked into his greatest fear and come out the other side. He started raising his hand in class. He cannonballed into the deep end of the swimming hole. He learned that courage wasn't a special power some people had and others didn't. It was a choice. A choice to take that first step, to climb that first rung, to face the shadows for the sake of something, or someone you love. Leo and Maya's friendship grew even stronger, built on a new understanding. They knew that everyone has their own secret fears, and true strength comes from helping each other face them. Leo, the boy who was once afraid of his own shadow, had learned that the brightest light doesn't just chase the darkness away, it's found by walking straight through it. And in the small town of Harmony Creek, his quiet act of bravery became a heartwarming tale. A reminder that the biggest adventures often begin the moment we decide to be bigger than our fears. Thanks for watching our story today. If you enjoyed this tale of courage, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. We'll see you in the next one.